While India and China are warming up to each other, there seems to be a thaw between North and South Korea as well. South Korea says it has halted the propaganda broadcasts it blares along its border with North Korea. The South Korean Defense Ministry says the idea is to create a peaceful atmosphere ahead of the first inter-Korean summit in a decade scheduled for later this week. Remember, South Korean President Moon Jae-in and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un are scheduled to meet on April 27th. It is the first time in more than 2 years the South Korean broadcasts have been stopped. The broadcasts include new updates, South Korean pop music and criticism of the North Korean regime. Broadcasts were halted in mid-2015 only to be resumed in January 2016 following North Korea's fourth nuclear test. Pyongyang has conducted 2 more nuclear tests since then. The North has its own propaganda broadcasts at the border, but it was not immediately clear if it would be stopping its broadcasts. The world is anticipating complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula after North Korea, and on Saturday it was suspending nuclear and missile tests and scrapping its nuclear test site and instead pursuing economic growth and peace. And to give us more details, we are joined in by WION's correspondent Ramesh Ramachandran from Seoul. Ramesh, talk about the Trump-Kim meeting. What is at stake there for Trump and Kim Jong-un now?
Well, the unprecedented summit meeting between Donald Trump of the US and North Korea's Kim Jong-un will be a meeting between two unpredictable, temperamental, unconventional and non-conformist politicians. But will it lead to a meeting of minds? That's the question confronting many South Koreans here in Seoul today as they wait in anticipation for the inter-Korean summit on the 27th, followed by the Trump-Kim Jong-un meeting sometime in late May or early June. Now, some are saying that what Trump is attempting to do now is what Richard Nixon attempted in the 1970s when he traveled to Beijing for that unprecedented meeting with Chairman Mao, which led to rapprochement between the US and China. But at the same time, we have another young, brash communist leader in North Korea named Kim Jong-un, who wants to make North Korea into a big military power. At the same time, it weighs on his mind that the economy is not doing as well as it should, faced as it is with sanctions by the UN and the US. So clearly, from his perspective, Kim Jong-un would want to revive the North Korean economy, and many are saying that he wants to replicate or do an encore of what Deng Xiaoping of China did in the early 70s when he unleashed economic reforms which transformed China into an almost capitalist economy and market-oriented economy. And so there are the strong parallels, people are saying, between what Kim Jong-un is attempting to do now and what Chairman Deng Xiaoping attempted in China in the 70s and early 80s.
Right. Ramesh, what are the preparations being done for the inter-Korean summit, which is all set to take place on Friday?
Well, there's been a flurry of meetings here in the last several days in Seoul and other parts of the country between South Korea and North Korea as the officials prepare the ground or lay the groundwork for the Friday summit meeting between the two North Korean and South Korean leaders, President Moon Jae-in of South Korea and Chairman Kim Jong-un of North Korea. Now, yesterday there was another third round of working level officials meeting in Seoul and in Panmunjom, where they discussed a couple of issues, including security, protocol, media facilities to cover the summit live for the benefit of foreign media who are attending this summit. Also, today we're expecting the South Korean side to do a dress rehearsal on their own in Panmunjom, the peace village at the demilitarized zone, where Kim Jong-un and Moon Jae-in will be meeting on Friday. Tomorrow we're given to understand that's on Wednesday. The North Korean side will visit Seoul and the demilitarized zone for talks with the South Korean counterparts on the nitty-gritties of the Friday meeting. And also the North Korean side will hold a dress rehearsal of sorts from their side. And on Thursday will be the last and final rehearsal for the much anticipated Moon Jae-in, Kim Jong-un talks on Friday. So there's been a flurry of meetings in the last several days, and we were given to understand that there'll be some more meetings between the two sides as the D-Day approaches.
Right. Ramesh, as we all know that, North and South Koreas both have announced measures to build confidence between them. Talk a bit, if you will, about those measures.
Indeed, there are sincere efforts being undertaken by both sides, we are given to understand, between South Korean officials and North Korean counterparts on laying the ground or prepare the ground for the Inter-Korean summit to be held on the 27th. That's Friday next. In the run-up to the summit, we saw the both sides, North Korea and South Korea, establish a hotline between their respective leaders, between President Moon Jae-in of South Korea and Chairman Kim Jong-un of North Korea. Followed by that, after that came the announcement by Kim Jong-un of suspending all future nuclear and missile tests, which has been welcomed by the South Korean side and also the US, including President Donald Trump, who tweeted welcoming the announcement by North Korea. And yesterday we heard from the South Korean side saying that they have suspended till further notice all propaganda broadcasts at the demilitarized zone, where loudspeakers blare K-pop music and other news into the North Korean side of the border to convey how free and how open the South Korean economy is and how happy people on this side of the border are. So that propaganda machinery has since been shut down till further notice. We don't know whether North Korea has responded in kind, but we're given to understand that South Korea wants to prolong the suspension of the broadcast till such time as conditions improve and allow both sides to come to some sort of agreement going forward.
Lastly, Ramesh, what should we expect to happen on the 27th? What is their agenda and the program?
On the 27th, that's Friday, the two leaders will meet at the demilitarized zone that separates North Korea from South Korea. And this demilitarized zone is about 250 kilometers wide, running across the peninsula. And the meeting will take place at the Joint Security Area, or JSA, in a place called Panmunjom. It's a peace village, and they'll be meeting there on the South Korean side of the DMZ. That's interesting because for the first time in almost 6 decades, a North Korean leader will cross the military demarcation line and set foot on South Korean soil. And that will be done by Kim Jong-un on the 27th morning, when he crosses the military demarcation line and enters the peace village, which is the venue of the Inter-Korean summit. We're given to understand that the meeting will start before noon and will continue into late afternoon, and it'll be capped by a working dinner between Moon Jae-in of South Korea and Kim Jong-un of North Korea.
Right. Okay, got it. That, the meeting will start before afternoon. To end with, Ramesh, media coverage of the talks, I'd like you to comment on that. What is it going to be like? What are some of the issues figuring in the overall discourse?
That's a very interesting question to ask, really, because this is going to be the third Inter-Korean summit to be held here in the demilitarized zone on the 27th. Two such summits have taken place in the past, in the year 2000 and 2007, both in Pyongyang, when the South Korean leaders traveled across the border into the North Korean territory for the meeting with Kim Jong-il, the late father of Kim Jong-un. But this summit is different because there's expectation building up of a peace, finally peace returning to the Korean peninsula after almost 65 years of hostilities. To give you a flavor of the mood here in Seoul as we speak, I have in my hand the Korea Herald newspaper. This is the Korea Herald newspaper of Tuesday, which has a story saying the US, North Korea not on same page on denuclearization. Now, that's one issue which is engaging the attention of policymakers and officials alike here in Seoul. The difference in semantics of what denuclearization actually means for both North Korea and South Korea. North Korea says it's committed to not conducting further nuclear tests and not conducting missile tests. But South Korea and the US both say they want complete, verifiable and irreversible denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. By that they mean North Korea must dismantle all its nuclear weapons. That's the big issue confronting the South Koreans and the North Koreans as they prepare for the 27th April summit in the demilitarized zone.